Living Christian with JGar.
Hello everybody, welcome back. I've been sharing how Jesus has saved me from lust, toxic relationships, heartbreaks, and new age. But what about drugs and alcohol? There's a lot I can say about this. If you know me personally, you know I was never an alcoholic, and I never took up smoking of any kind. With so many opportunities to try out smoking, I never took up any of them. I was exposed to secondhand smoke countless times. I'm sure you have too. And with so many opportunities to try these drugs, and never trying, I know that even when I wasn't living Christian, God protected me and prevented me from trying these drugs. I'd be lying if I said I never did a drug in my life, because I have. My experience with this one particular drug might be the main reason why I didn't take up any other drugs later in my life, because I already had this horrible experience with this specific prescription drug that may very well be worse than the others. Some do call it the most dangerous drug out there, yet it's easily accessible. Where do we begin? In elementary school, of course, we had guest speakers come in to teach us about drugs, don't smoke, don't drink, and a lot of us wondered, why do people turn to these substances anyway? In middle school, 5th grade, we had the D.A.R.E program, a police officer coming in to teach us lessons on how to say no to drugs, sometimes giving us in-class exercises, and other times showing us videos about past addicts, warning us that drugs will attack you as you grow up. The D.A.R.E program was heavily criticized as a cheap strategy to inform kids. I've read that it's been revamped as keeping it real, where instead of a police officer, it's teenagers heading down to teach younger students through practice situations. It's gotten better reception, though I can't seem to notice the results. As a kid, I remember being around someone who had just smoked and I could smell the cigarette smoke. I didn't like the smell, so that was one reason I didn't want to try smoking when I got older. Although the D.A.R.E program was cheap, it wasn't all bad. They certainly taught us about different drugs out there, LSD, cocaine, heroin, why all these substances are bad, what they do to people who use them. I remember one example in particular was a video of an NBA player who had his career ruined by his drug addictions. And me, being athletic and into sports, I saw that and thought, okay, it ruins your athletic skills. I certainly don't want that, so I'm not going to try drugs when I get older. Then the time arrived when I was told I needed a prescription drug. In your middle school years, when you're told at this age that you need this prescription drug, and the doctor doesn't call it a prescription drug, but rather a medication or medicine that you need to treat you, it's easy to get brainwashed into taking that drug. The drug was called Adderall, a drug that, according to the pamphlet, was meant to help students listen better and focus better in class. No mention of side effects. I was an early lab rat being tested for this drug. At first, I took 10 milligrams per day in pill form, then we changed it to 15 milligrams per day in capsule form. When in capsule form it was 3 5 milligram capsules per day, and then we changed it to 1 15 milligram capsule per day for that little more convenience. In the first year on the drug, my immune system and brain were getting used to it, because your body is at first fighting off the dangers of this drug until it weakens down to a point that it lets the drug take over. During this time, I could not control myself and control my thoughts in any way. Then the second year arrived, and there were about 6 months when I felt the positive effects the pamphlet said I would feel. I was attentive in class. I felt I could listen to every word the teachers were saying and focus well on my studies. You hear stories about other students saying that their grades went up when they were on Adderall. For me, my grades didn't change at all. On the other hand, this drug controls your mind. The pamphlet said that the drug doesn't take control, but it does. My brain was thinking many weird thoughts. As I said in a past video, I had distorted feelings in school when interacting with girls, not just due to puberty, not just due to PMO exposure, but due to Adderall, because Adderall does mess with your sex hormones as well. I would get a crush on a girl and then overthink the crush to become addicted to feelings of being with her, even though she never dated me. Once I knew that Adderall was the problem, I quit on my own decision. The doctor who originally prescribed the drug to me continued to see me for another year and a half until he agreed that I didn't need to be put back on the drug. Adderall can still affect you long after you quit, though. Whatever duration of time you took the drug, it might take that same duration of time to fully recuperate and readjust back to life without the drug. When high school came around, drugs were all around me again. Students engaging in use of heroin, marijuana, tobacco, cocaine, LSD, steroids, MDMA, and even Adderall. Tobacco and marijuana were around me the most, and I still didn't like the smell. I still remembered those D.A.R.E videos of people's lives getting ruined by drugs, and I knew not to try them. Little did I know, I still had another addiction. An addiction to something that should be classified as a drug, PMO. All other students around me had this problem. I had this problem too. Drug-free programs really should teach the dangers of this as well. Teach kids about this so they know not to engage in this when they're older. In college, again, drugs everywhere. Students having hookah sessions or bong sessions, passing around a weed pipe in group circles during the daytime. I remember hanging out with some students in these circles and seeing a student pass around a weed pipe. He takes a little bit, he smokes it, he hands it over to me. I respectfully say, "No thanks, I'm good." And the student just passes it to the next student. You might ask me, what were you doing hanging out with them? To answer that, sometimes they were students in the same major as me, so I was talking with them about group assignments or exam questions. Other times there was a girl in the group that I had a crush on, and as I said in a past video, I look back and now ask, did I really have a crush on her? I even had roommates who had these substances, so I was constantly exposed to secondhand smoke, yet I never tried it myself. Other students respected my decision not to try them. Some of them even said, "I wish I could be more like you." Then that one relationship arrived. That one relationship. I've discussed it in past testimony videos. It's time to share some more details. She was a smoker too. She smoked cannabis and tobacco. You might ask me, why was I in love with a weed smoker? As I said before, sex brought us together, not love. We also had common interests. We were both film majors. We used to discuss making film projects together. The relationship was filled with sexual immorality. The relationship also had a lack of loyalty and trust. Her gathering with others to smoke instead of gathering with me on some nights, and me some nights just sitting in my room with PMO. She actually respected my decision not to smoke, to the point that there was a brief time where she quit. She literally told me she quit and she was happy to quit. When she ended the relationship on her own decision, she went back to smoking and smoked harder. After the relationship and after graduation, she continued to damage herself with marijuana and tobacco in other forms, bongs, hookahs, even using other drugs, heroin, and even Adderall. There were times when I told her I missed her, and she told me she missed me, and we discussed reunions, shared my Adderall experience with her as a means of trying to warn her not to continue using Adderall. But then nights came when she would just fight me away and take our forward progress away. She would try to get help from rehabilitation centers, and then didn't go all the way through with it. We tried to get closer together, and then problems kept separating us further. Around this time, I was finally introduced to a good local church, a church that taught us how to connect God to your life, understand the true meanings of Jesus' sacrifices for us, and the true power that Jesus has to work within us when we choose to follow Christ and serve the Lord. This showed me that living for Christ is the right way to live. Love God, fear God, and love God too. Continue to serve the Lord as best you can. This eventually showed me that PMO was damaging my spirit. You can't help someone quit an addiction when you have your own addictions that you are still not even trying to quit. So I quit those PMO habits and learned about NoFap. Remove your habitual sexual sins to become a better person. I let go of a lot of things, but I was still holding on to that old relationship from the past. I still believed that I could save her and put her with me on a path of following Christ. Around this time, she wasn't talking with me. And I decided to not keep trying to reach out to her because I believed that I had to make her miss me. I believed that God wanted me to avoid talking with her for a while and just trust in God, that God will allow us to communicate with each other under His timing and His control. When I started attending church small groups, they helped me understand love and relationships a lot more. The couple in charge of the group encouraged me to keep that relationship in mind as they prayed for me to keep understanding relationships. Did God want her and me together and take that blessing away over too much sinning? Did I start seeking God too late? Did God not want us together? God protects you from enemies who try to take you off of your path to follow Christ, but was God protecting me from her all this time? And then I heard from her in an email, and it was a simple message. Hey, how are you doing? But the fact that it was from her delighted me. We had a quick email conversation, just back and forth messages. And she kept her messages simple, asking me about Comic-Con, asking me about YouTube. Through this email conversation I had from her, I realized God was showing me that she was too far gone. God certainly wants us to share His word and grace with everyone we can share it with. And God wants us to encourage more people to follow Christ. But sometimes, God wants us to leave some people in the past, no matter how much we care about them. And God showed me that I needed to set her in the past and move forward for God. God didn't want us together. God has a future spouse set for me. Whoever she is, wherever she is, I pray she's safe. I pray that God will bring us together at that right time. I thank the Lord for His love and forgiveness, for saving me and giving me the opportunity that I knew I needed to take, to follow and serve the Lord, to share my stories and share His word. Since then, I've continued to research Adderall and read a lot of sad stories. People have lost their lives to Adderall, whether overdose, prolonged use, or having taken their own lives. Some were saved, but in the process had heart attacks, liver failure, kidney failure, severe brain damage, clogged arteries, weight gain, loss of appetite and sleep, and there have been many pneumonia cases connected to Adderall. Jesus has saved me from Adderall, and Jesus has shown me that I can share my story and research in order to warn others not to take this dangerous drug. As for other drugs, such as marijuana and tobacco, I know that Jesus disciplined me to say no every time I was offered these drugs. Even when I wasn't living Christian, Jesus was helping me. And now that I have learned to live Christian, I trust fully in the Lord that the best opportunities await. If you are already a follower of Christ, I hope you enjoyed this born-again story from another follower of Christ. If you still have doubts about following and serving the Lord, take what you have learned from my story today and see how you can be saved as well. Share your thoughts in the comments section, like and share if you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more videos, hit the bell if you want notifications. I'm creating for you. Have a great week and a great life, and always love yourself for who you are. God bless. Godspeed.